Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharyamantamam Asmadacharyakaryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. So in the verse Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, we saw the Swarupa Lakshana of Brahman. We are seeing it. That is the Lakshana we are seeing. Now the definitions are of two types in Sanskrit, okay? And Sanskrit is such a language, definition is also defined. Itirebhya sarvebhya vyavartakam lakshana. That which distinguishes something from everything else. Those distinguishing signs are called lakshana. Okay. So lakshana is used to point out something as distinct from everything else. So that can be Tatastham or Swarupa. Somebody asked me, put it on silent, I just can't figure out this thing. I have to sit down with someone and figure it out. This is on complete zero. But still it is making a noise. Maybe notifications I must turn out. Okay. Anyway, that apart. That is the Lakshana. Supposing someone wants to ask, who's the Ananda? The guy who's sitting to the right of that bag. Right of that maroon and yellow bag. The guy who's sitting to the right of that is the Ananda. Okay, I saw him. I knew who's there. But do you mean to say that bag is going to be always there? Wherever the Ananda moves, the bag is going to move? No. So I use the bag to point out who the person is. It is not an intrinsic part of the Ananda.
From known to the unknown.
Huh?
From known to the unknown.
Yeah, you're just using someone to indicate it. Yeah. It is not intrinsic to it. Agantaka. Something that can come and go. Yeah. Then what is Swarupa Lakshana? Swarupa Lakshana will be when I define something using its intrinsic properties. The tall, slim guy who was very quiet, scholarly, those are intrinsic qualities. Yeah. So, when I am defining Brahman as Jagat Karanatvam, with reference to the world, I define Brahman. That is called Tatastha Lakshana. The world is not always there. Pralaya time world is not there. Before Srishti world is not there. So that is called Tatastha Lakshana. Alright, okay, but what exactly is Brahman? That's what we are saying. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. Acha, theek hai. Satyam we saw to an extent. Now Jnanam. I said Jnanam, a conscious being has to be there. Now what is this conscious being? Okay. So I can just use the word Anantam and negate everything. Normally we use Drigdrishi Vivek, isn't it? Let's use the word Anantam and negate for a change. We saw before we broke up for Anantata. Your roles are not Anantam. No role is permanent. No, Ananta means limitlessness, okay? Desha Kala Aparishchinatvam. Someone made an interesting observation after the class. Says, what about the role of the mother? I'm always mother, no? No, it's not Anantam. Your role is with respect to one or two people. You are not Jagannatha. Even though I know people who behave like that. In fact, one of my students, I had named her Jagannatha. Why? She was a mother figure to everyone who came to the camp. It's a very sweet person, very loving, very caring on that. But we should love to mother people. But how many people will she mother? People come to her. Street children will come to study with her. Blind kids will go and study with her. Mother figure. Everyone is happy with her. Except her own children. यार मेरे सिर को ऊपर बैठा है क्या करेगा too much of mothering that becomes smothering too much of mothering it becomes smothering and some others are like that. Anyway, so limited in role. Even to this one or two kids that you have, your mothering role keeps changing. Vyabhicharati keeps changing. The way you mothered when he was a baby, to the way you mothered when he was 3-year-old, 5-year-old, 10-year-old, teenagers. Oh my God, don't even tell. Better drop mothering. 25, when he has picked up a life partner, if you still act like mama, you have a problem. He also has a problem. She also has a problem. Vyabhicharati, therefore Mithya, it keeps changing. Trikala na tishtati. 3 periods of time it doesn't exist. The problem in dropping the mother's role is it is over glorified in our culture. Glorification is fine because mother does a lot for the child, I accept that. But it is over glorified. With that you can fight, not a problem. Why is dad now? Father. But mother, and especially if you are a mother, you will feel guilty. Even if you are the right, you will feel guilty. I hurt my mother. I fought with her. It's good for her. Fight a bit, it's good for her. Because she learned how to drop that role. Hindi films glorified. मेरे पास माँ हूँ. तो बड़ा बात क्या हो गया? सबके पास माँ है. वो अमिताभ बच्चन डायलॉग. मेरा पास माँ. Big hulk of a guy, the lady will slap him and say, "मैं तेरी माँ हूँ." My mother wouldn't try that. She would get hurt. She'll slap me. Will start paining. My father discovered it. After that, mother didn't try. I mean, we are back as kids and we are okay with that. Big deal. क्या फर्क पड़ा? But roles, Vyabhicharati, not Anantam. Therefore, one has to learn to drop it. If you can't drop it, there is a serious identification issue. Start loosening that. I'm talking the emotional level, the role. The role is not just physical. There's a lot of emotion, thinking, feeling, all attributed to that. There's a whole energy pattern around it. That energy pattern is created by your emotions. And your thinking and analyzing, all that is there. Drop. Yeah. Therefore, all roles, not you. You fill up the role. Role is dependent on you. You are independent of the role. Get this thing very, very clear in every role you play, because this is where all human problems start. मैं गुरु हूँ, how can you speak like that to me? ठीक है यार, बोलने देना, चैंपियन सीख जाएगा. Our identification with guru role, it can happen to gurus also. Yeah. Guru you are only when you are teaching. Guru not to a few students of yours, not more than that. Even though you may be given a title of Jagat Guru. Yeah, many Mandaleshwars, Acharyas are given title of Jagat Guru. You mean to say they are teaching the whole world? There's a title out of respect, out of this, that he's got a capacity to teach everyone. Therefore it's given, not to be taken literally. Yeah. It is Jagat Guru, why does he need that security? Most Jagat Gurus require securities. Why? They are all on the terrorist hit list. If you really are Guru, you wouldn't be on the terrorist hit list, no? Guru is a terrorist also. They should salute you very fast. But nahi hota hai. So all these roles, don't take it too seriously. It's a role. Yeah, the role has a script, so play the script well. But the script is highly flexible, it's not a rigid script. All the scripts for every role that you play, there's a lot of flexibility in it. So keep that flexibility into account. Very necessary in today's world when we are living in a non-structured society, in an unstructured society. Role is flexible. Script is flexible. Keep that in mind. Okay, fine. Role. But role is played by the person. No? Now look into the person, this conscious being, this conscious entity. You are the conscious entity. You cannot understand the word jnanam without bringing the jiva into account. Why? Who is the conscious entity? Have you seen a conscious entity that does not breathe or think or feel? Not feel, I have seen. This girl came and told me once. My boyfriend is like that, he doesn't seem to feel anything. He's a man, he's not so good at expressing it, that's all. But you cannot have, in your experience, have you seen a conscious entity which does not think, which does not breathe, which does not feel, which does not respond with environment? The last statement is to include amoebas and things like that. Bacteria, viruses, amoebas. They have their own rudimentary thinking and feeling, okay? Yeah. Rudimentary. So you come into the picture. That is a jiva. Jiva is the one who will thinking, feeling, responding. Thinking and feeling is important. So the jiva is in a particular body, physical body. Is that Jnanam Anantam? The physical body, is it on its own a conscious entity? If I cut off that mind-body connection by any process, anesthesia or literal anesthesia, best tool for an anesthetist, works on all cases. Mind-body connection is cut means there. Body is unconscious. You can do anything you want with it. Cut open this, the character was afraid of a pinprick. You are cutting the guy open. He doesn't complain. The guy is so scared of an injection or anything that I know this guy is going to be sedated to give acupuncture treatment. Because acupuncture is putting on pins and needles into you. No? The body is not conscious by itself. Number one. Anantam. You know, I'm expanding. Thank God I'm not Anantam. Occupies finite place for a finite time. And Vyabhicharati keeps changing. जब मैं बिल्कुल लड़का था, बहुत शरारत करता था, kiddish body. क्या रंगीन जवानी था, एक राजा और एक रानी था. Teenager body, youthful body, different. अब तो बिल्कुल बूढ़ा हूँ, गोली खाकर जीता हूँ. It's not a nice song, huh? It is an advertisement ditty, okay? Bajaj lights. The older people will remember it. Vyabhicharati keeps changing. That means what? Not Jnanam. Vyabhicharati. I am using the definition of Mithya and Anantam. I am not going to go into Dirdrisha Viveka here. Because that argument also you can add in. It's an object of my awareness, not me. But I am using the word Anantam and definition of Mithya to negate all this. Differently. Because otherwise if I use CRC and all that, then they'll say, CRC, madam pata hai. Thoda fresh perspective. Come in. Hopefully this will click. Because that you heard enough times, it will become mechanical. So, Shariram, you are not Jnana. Alright, then what's next level? Indriyas, I am including into Shariram, okay? Eye, sense organs, etc. For the time being, I am including it into Shariram. Lago Artha, for brevity. Unless you are a very, very talented singer, totally identified with the role as a singing, etc., you will not have a problem of identifying with the sense organ or an organ of action, other than the body I am talking about. Have you heard anyone coming and saying, I am only a voice? I am sure all of you know talented singers, there is one right here. But you won't say, I am only a voice. There are people who say that, but we are not known people. Yeah. Alright, then prana. Prana is based on your breathing. Energy system. Knows only this is, the energy has a life of its own. You are sustained by energy. It is true. You are sustained by energy. You are not sustained merely by the food you eat, etc. Without prana, that won't function. Prana is the energy system that keeps you alive. If I cut off that source of prana with you, in time you will collapse and go. Take a little time. Why stored prana is there. But is it Anantam? Swami, what about cosmic prana that as Reiki masters we download? That's also finite entity. Now, how much have you downloaded? Finite. Vyabhicharati, it keeps changing. No? If the prana is not to change, how can it all take care of all the different systems? Prana has to change into different energies. One prana to keep you breathing and keeping you alive. Your lungs. The other for your digestive system. That in two major players here. Liver, bladder, spleen, pancreas. Major system comes into play. Can you see now the digestion and the prana system combining together? The organ channels and prana being got together. Then excretion. Half your illnesses are caused by improper excretion. Detox nahi ho raha hai. In Ayurveda, they say a lot of ama is being formed in your digestive system. You have to get out of the ama, get the ama out of your system. So the first thing an Ayurvedic doctor will do is purge you. Both ways. Downward and outward and upward. Both. Part of the game. Because prana has to change. Prana has to keep a circulatory system going. So again it has to modify. Prana has to keep your thinking going. It has to modify. Finally, prana has to eject you from this body. All Pancha Pranas covered. Those who studied it as 5 pranas, etc. Sab aa gaya na isme. Vyabhicharati. Not Anantam, keeps changing. It's not the conscious being. Plus a champion like this is directing energy, Reiki healing. Champion. He is directing it. So something that this champion can direct, do you expect it to be Anantam? If there are any Reiki teachers here, be very careful when you practice Reiki, okay? If you don't know how to take protection for yourself, you will get all the illness because energy exchange always takes place. And you are high energy. So I am high energy, so it's flowing towards that person. But when something is flowing outward, something flows within towards you also. Like when the tide comes in, there is always an undertow going out. If you are caught up in that, you will be taken right out into the sea, you will drown. So similarly with energy, so be very careful. If there are any Reiki teachers here who are healers, etc., be careful. And learn how to protect yourself from that before you do healing. Otherwise, within 5 years, I see many Reiki teachers falling ill and having to give it up. All that shows what? Vyabhicharana, Antam, not Anantam. Finite. Prana is not the conscious entity. Because it doesn't fit to the definition. Jnanam Anantam yet has to fit in it. Then what is that? Mind, your emotions, your feelings. That Vyabhicharati is very common. What you feel in the morning and what you feel in the evening is not the same. Morning, I like this guy, he's such a nice guy. By afternoon, you had a fight. Evening, you won't stand that character because you built up also on top. I love you will become I love you. You go your way, I go my way. Emotions are not Anantam. Plus, there is a difference between one emotion and another one emotion. So, finitude comes into all emotions. Vyabhicharanam, change comes in. My thinking, my knowledge. And knowledge is already there, you only gathered it. Correct? And all knowledge is finite. All knowledge keeps changing, no? Whether it is science or it's economics or psychology or anything, Vibhacharanam always keeps changing. Is it? Though we define knowledge as something that has to be abhaditam, that is for the time being. It's only for the time being. Vyavahara kali. In this transaction it is abhaditam, that's all. But otherwise it keeps changing. Yeah. Knowledge is not anantam. The closest knowledge. Ignorance, don't even talk. Ignorance is not jnanam anyways. So don't even talk about it. And ignorance is the capital with which you came into this world. And you have to keep spending that capital. Some people are a bit miserly in that. Only when you let go of some ignorance, some knowledge will come in there. So you are shedding ignorance. So if you are miserly about that, problem ho jayega. This is one thing, bharpoor hai, you have to keep spending it. Don't be miserly here. With your money and all, you can be careful, sensible. But this don't. G worker, get rid of it. Yeah. Vibhacharanam, not anantam, anantam. So from this conscious being, from this conscious entity, all this is gone. Using the definition of anantam and vyabhicharanam as Mithya, vyabhicharati, yat trikalam natishtati, that which is not there for the 3 periods of time, that which is keeps changing. Using just the 2 definitions of Mithya and the definition of Brahman as Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, not one of these things can be Jnanam. Now look at it. From you, the conscious being, chop off all that. Bada, negate. Thinking wise, cognitively, negate. What is left behind? Don't tell me nothing is left behind.
Only consciousness.
I'd like to accept it at least in some cases. But I can't. Because you are there, no? Anyone doubts that you exist? I am? Doubt hai? Knock, knock, who's there? Are you there? Dekhe batata hu. You don't have to. You are, I am, is established by itself. No? How do you establish this is a phone? How do you establish it? The existence of the phone is established because you see it. No? Any event is established by the observer. Because you see it, it is there. And for this, either you have to use a pramana like perception or something. One of the pramanas you have to use. Whole world is pramana siddham, established by a pramana. You are the only thing that's self-established. Swata siddham. Not only swata siddham, swata jnatam also. That's why some of the Upanishad call it Swayam Jyoti, etc. Self-effulgent. And there are always champions who say, okay, you meditate and you see a light inside, that is Atma. But self-effulgent is known by itself. You know I am. I am is self-evident. I am is known also. Both things. Not only you are established by yourself, you know that you are. Without any proof necessary. Without any pramana necessary. So, from the conscious being, if all this is negated, what is left behind? What is left Shankara in his Bhashya, and Taittiriya says, Nyapti Matram. Nyapti, meaning the pure consciousness is left behind. That consciousness is Anantam, limitless. The consciousness that is left behind after all negation. From this conscious entity, all that is finite, all that is Mithya has been negated, conceptually. Because it is Mithya, you don't have to negate it physically. Are you going to physically negate the snake that you see on the road? Are you going to physically negate the flat earth that you are walking on? It's Mithya, it's not flat, earth is round. No? Flat earth is Mithya. Are you going to physically negate it? You'll never be able to negate it. Whatever you try, you can flatten the whole earth out. Understanding this. You don't have to make the earth round. It's already there. So similarly, the consciousness that has been left behind after all the negation, this consciousness is presented as Anantam. Anantam meaning Desha Kala Aparichinnam, not conditioned by time or space. Because that's the final limiting factor is time and space, isn't it? Finally, it is that. Alright. Now, here we will have to refer back. There are a lot of ways of looking at it. Okay. For convenience sake, I'll stick to the old paradigm here. I can use different paradigm, but it will be too confusing. So I don't want to go into that. Okay. Can time limit consciousness? Let's start with time. Can time limit consciousness? For which we have to see what is this thing that we call time? What is this thing that we call time? What is time? We'll have to look into that. No? What is time? No, don't tell me what is time. 5:30, 4:30. What is time?
Gap between two thoughts.
This is a joke I always like to crack. I was walking near Fort, Colaba, with an American friend. He wanted to see me. I mean, Colaba is a different, he can see it, different experience. The whole market, roadside market. Different from an American. Yeah. So someone came and asked me, what is time? I said, 4:30. Acha. So he turns to me and says, you Indians seem to be very philosophical. Someone out of the street comes and asks you, what is time? And you had an exchange? Okay. I said, that is not being a philosophical discussion, that is Indian English, that's all. Like how you have American English, we have Indian English. Okay, jokes apart. Since science is a current knowledge, there are various ways of looking at it, okay? Ramana Maharshi used to give an example. Says, any unit of time can be subdivided, he would say. This was before the theory of relativity, etc. became popular. At a time when physicists talked about time and space as being constant. He says, take 1,000-petal lotus. 1,000-petal lotus. Take a pin. In one moment, pass it through the whole thing. It's It's a lotus, you can't do that. It's not wood or something that you can't pass it through. That also you can pass through. If you're quick enough, fast enough. But here, 1,000 petals. One moment. Now open up the petals. Every petal has a hole in it. That means that pin has traveled the distance. One moment it has traveled so much. So now you are getting, each petal is 1,000th of a moment. Not 1 second. What would you call that? Nanosecond? Conceptually. That's pure dialectical conceptualization. But it is valid. Why? If you look at it scientifically, what is it? Time is a gap between two events at the same space. Time is a gap between two events. That's how science defines time. Olden days, time was what? Sunrise, sunset, both ho gaya. Because you got up with the sun, you slept with the sun. You finished your day's activities by sunset. Came home. Then you had your dinner this back. You had a meal before you went out, had a meal after you came back. 2 meals a day. Now it is called intermittent fasting. That time 2 meals a day was no. Our problems are because we eat too much. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack in between, tea in between. Now it depends. If you are having a heavy meal, then don't snack. If you are having a light meal, snack. We are not discussing what is good for health. We are just talking about time, gap between two events. When as you had to refine your measurement of time, the events kept changing. Events kept changing. Sunrise, sunset, the midday, center point. Midnight, nothing is there to register midnight. Okay. But halfway point in the night. Okay. Then you needed further measurements. So this one cycle of day and night, which made 24 hours, that was calculated and found out. A little bit more than 24 muhurtas. 8 yamas. Traditional measurement, yama, muhurta, gatika, traditional measurements. This is modern. So we needed to finer measurements of time. So what we call event kept changing unless finally we started wearing quartz watches. Our generation used to wear hand-wound watches. A friend from Delhi used to wear hand-wound watches when we started wearing watches. Then automatic watches came. There was a big step up. Then quartz watches, HMT came into the picture. Those old watches in HMT that we didn't want are now become antique pieces. HMT Pilot. HMT Janta. HMT Janta was the most common place watch on ever. Now these are all antique pieces. They still make it for special. Limited editions are available. Quartz watches. Why? The gap between two events, the two events are two pulses of a quartz. For the sake of refinement, we started changing all this. Refinement of measurement. The basic definition of time still stands. Gap between two events. Gap between two events. Events kept changing, that's all. Became closer and closer and closer. Now, is there an event without an observer? No event without an observer. Remember, that's basic tenet in science. So, two events, two pulses of a quartz becomes two observations. With or without instruments. 2 observations. 2 observations meaning 2 thoughts. So what is the truth of time? A gap between 2 thoughts. So what are you doing? You are looking at consciousness through your thoughts and saying there is time. That's why when you are asleep, there is no idea of time. When you are in samadhi, there is no idea of time. When you fall asleep in the class also, there is no idea of time. Even there may be only 2 minutes. Then people are laughing, you got to. I'll also laugh because I don't want people to know that. So what we call time is what? You're looking at yourself. This conscious being is looking at yourself through this pattern of thoughts and saying time. So time is highly subjective, which we try to make it objective, isn't it? All measurements, this, that, etc. So tell me, something that's a product of the mind, that's a product of thoughts, can it affect this conscious being? Remember, mind we have negated, thoughts we have negated as Mithya, Vyabhicharati, as not Anantam. So how can you be conditioned by time? Time-space continuum is one. Thanks to Stephen Hawking, it's very clear in the public mind. Hopefully. Because Stephen Hawking has said, the less formula you use, the more readership will be there. He says, I couldn't completely avoid our formula, one formula I have used. But believe me, unless you are very much into physics, nobody gets beyond the 2nd chapter. But even reading part of the 2nd chapter is enough to understand time-space continuum is one. That basic concept you will understand. Because I told all my students to read it. Most of them came only up to here. But good enough. Yeah. Space is the same thing. What is the unit of space? Okay. Now you got to forget. Before we handle space, you want to handle time dialectically. What is the truth of time? Ramana again says it very nicely in his Sadarshana. The past was present when it obtained, the future will be present when it obtains. So present is the truth of time. Makes a cryptic statement and leaves it. Present is the truth. Present what? Present century? Present what? Present hour? Present minute? Present moment? What is present? Now? By the time you say now, now is gone. I met a Zen master in Rishikesh once. He told me the statement, which is a Zen statement, very nice. I had heard it before, but he said, you cannot step into the same river twice. So I asked him, are you sure you can step into it once? Because the time your decision to step in and stepping in, it is gone. Are you sure you can step into it once? The guy looked at me and said, there's something there. Yes, I said, there's a lot of. ये तो मजाक करता. But who said a profound statement cannot come out of fun? You have to be very serious about it. To have profundity. So the present is what? Now. Now means what? You. So living in the present is living in now, in you, as awareness, as consciousness, as this conscious being. Otherwise, you have to read books all about living in the present. That type of living nobody can. Present. I can't move, no? Present. Forget say a sentence, I can't say a word because present. You are always in the present. Why? Past and future, etc. Bhavat sokale. When you experience it is always the present. So now means you. The consciousness, nothing else. Conscious entity. This is dialectically presenting it. Other is scientifically presenting it. But because I present it scientifically because that's conventional knowledge in the society today. Space is the same thing. What is the truth of space? Here. If now is the truth of time, here has to be the present. What is here? When you see here, where I am sitting is here. That's so many square feet. Minimum you will put 4 square feet per person. About roughly. When you are calculating sitting space here now, you take about 10 square feet per person. Because going up and down, all that has to be taken into account. So what is here? One mile, here, 1 feet, 1 inch, nano inch. No length is the truth of time, truth of space. No length. Here means what? No length. Truth of time is no time. Truth of space is no length, no dimensions. So what is there? Consciousness. Because now, here, dimensions, past, present, future, all these are concepts of the mind. Isn't it true? When you're looking into it, functionally, there is you and you there, me here. There will be some space. We all have an idea of personal space, etc. Which all gets demolished if you travel in a VRR local in Bombay at peak hours. You didn't travel at peak hours. You're traveling at 9 o'clock. Yeah, I got it. Concept of personal space is if you can breathe. You can breathe, you're fine. Anyway, jokes apart. So, all here, now, there, this, all concepts. Space itself is a concept. Because I am identified with this body, I have space outside me, isn't it? Because I am limiting myself here. If I was not limiting myself here, this is how cluster life forms function. Like a cluster of cells. There is a collective consciousness. So they are not limited by their own individual bodies. For them we can use the gender word them. You can't use it for a human being unless you eat breakfast for 3 people and show me. That can be used for that because there is really multiple cells but all collectively functioning as one. They don't call it them. They don't call it us. They don't call it we. They call it I. If at all there is enough consciousness there, manifested consciousness, then they will talk about it as I. The collective. So time and space are notions like this. Because of this body, I limit myself this much. Therefore, I say, what is there between you and me is space. There is an objective component to space, exactly like how there is an objective component to time. When you are talking about from the standpoint of this body and mind, when you are talking from the stand of consciousness, what is inside outside? Anantam. If you dismiss time and space, what is left behind is a consciousness which is Anantam. Time and space are at the level of the mind. Really, can time and space limit your mind? If time and space limited the mind, no man would have landed on moon. No one would be planning a trip to Mars. So this guy was told, ISRO is planning a trip to the sun. Arey, वो spaceship तो जल जाएगा, it will get burnt away in the thing of the sun. How are we going to reach the sun? So his friend tells him, रात को जाता है. We are practicing that. That's why we landed on the dark side of the moon. Okay. Jokes apart. Okay. Jokes apart. If your minds are going to be limited by time and space, how would you even think of all these things? And we are talking about the consciousness which is independent of the mind as well. Therefore, independent of time and space, that conscious entity alone is Anantam, which is what you are. Because it started with you, the Jiva Rumura. Conscious entity, Jnanam, is a conscious entity. Conscious entity is this living being. It started from there. So this consciousness is Anantam. Satyam is Anantam. Maybe existence is also Anantam. Consciousness is also Anantam. Can there be two Anantams? No. And remember by the arrangement of the words, Ekasmin Bimbe Tatparyam. His intention is one entity. So Ramana says, Satyaya hi Chit, Chittaya hi Sat. Sat and Chit are one and the same. How can existence be conscious? Consciousness is what is. What is consciousness. That's a thing you know. Okay. Reduction observe. Let us suppose, you know, you had the theorems in school. Supposing this was not true. Okay. Let us suppose existence and consciousness are two different things. What will happen to consciousness? It will become other than existence. Means it will become non-existence. Is that true? You are, I am, Brahman. You can't say let it be. We are not posing a philosophical problem. We are talking about the fact of you. You exist. It's contradicting that, no? You can't be non-existent. If they are different, you will become non-existent. But it's not true, I am. So this consciousness now, Satyam Jnanam Anantam, limitlessness. This is the truth of Brahman. We are starting with Brahman. Okay. But Brahman is also Jagat Karma. Remember, everything has come from Jagat Karma Brahman. That's why he said Jagat is Mithya. Why? Because there is no creation, there is only a manifestation. This existence consciousness itself has manifested as a world, as a universe. One water has manifested as a million waves. So where are the waves? In ocean. The water gets a name. Water gets a name with respect to the waves. Ocean. What is it? Water. What are the waves? Water. Between the ocean and waves there can be a relationship. Between water and the wave is there a relationship? I'm talking about waves, not this wave. There's only one ocean. I tell this true story that happened years ago when I was studying in Sandeepni for a while, many years ago. I was there from 76 to 78, mid 78. I must have been as old as Rohit is here that time. Okay. So, we had a driver there, Rishi Prasad Pandey. He is no more. Chapinda, he was a nice guy. So he decided to go back to Uttarakhand, where he was from. Those days, UP. He was from Rishikesh actually. So he told Swamiji, I have a brother, cousin brother. Now everyone is cousin brother. We don't know whether really brother ke gawala hai. Country cousin at least. I am going back to Uttarakhand. My wife is saying, how long are you going to live in Bombay? We have never lived together properly or not. So he said, yeah, go ahead. Please give Rishi. This, my friend, what is his name? Rishi Rohit. His name was also Rohit, okay? Give Rohit this job of driving. He knows how to drive, he's got a proper license, etc. So I was thinking, these characters learn driving on trucks. It's Swamiji sitting on it. Anything. But Swamiji all compassion, he said, yes. So he wrote a letter to Rohit, Aja do, tera Bombay mein kaam taiyar hai. So Rohit landed up in Bombay. Paisa nahi, poor guy. So he took the super slow express from Hardwar to Bombay, called Dehradun Express. It's still there. And it's still super slow. 40 hours from Hardwar to Bombay. But the cheapest train you can come by. It will never get delayed. Itna time hai. It comes to Old Delhi, stops there for an hour. I'll go have some dinner in a dhaba and come back. Right? Time hai. Mujhe nahi pata hai. Super. He came by that, got down at Bombay Central. So Rohit said, early morning, see, Swami has asked me to give these papers to a lawyer here. He said, just drop it in his house and come back. So thoda time लगेगा. तेरे को चाय पीने के, you want some cup of tea or something? नहीं, हम ट्रेन में पी लिया चाय. So साथ आएगा, भैया, मेरे को समुद्र दर्शन करवाए. बहुत सुना है, समुद्र दर्शन. ये UP character is only heard of समुद्र. किधर देखा है? समुद्र दर्शन. अरे बॉम्बे में चारों ओर समुद्र ही है, कभी भी देख सकते हैं. ठीक है. तेरे को मेरे लाइन जाना है, तेरे को चौपाटी में छोड़ता है. वो बीच में बैठकर बराबर दर्शन कर. मैं वो पेपर देके वापस आता हूँ. 10 मिनट लगेगा तो दर्शन कर. 10 हैप्पी. इस ड्रॉप में देखो, रोड क्रॉस करना और उधर है. कभी बैक ही पिक अप. क्या समुद्र दर्शन हो गया? क्या समुद्र दर्शन? वो तो पानी है. तो पानी गंगा में क्यों देखा है? Water gets a name, ocean, with respect to the waves. Correct. Even that Rohit knew it. Semi-literate guy, driver, he knew it. It was funny. हाँ पानी जब ऐसा है ना उसको उसको समुद्र बोलते हैं. Similarly, Brahman gets a name Ishvara. So, yeah, say you call Brahman Ishvara with respect to the creation. Then of course the theory of Maya also comes in. Why? How can that Brahman which is timeless, spaceless, change to become the world? Doesn't change, Baba. It only appears. What makes it appear like that? Maya. What is Maya? That which is not there. Definition of Maya is that Yama, Sa Maya. That which is not really there is called Maya. That means what? But you just talked about Maya, you talked about Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, everything. Apparently there. It does not have the same degree of reality as Brahman. It has some sort of thing. You can't say it is non-existent. Because it is there. You can't say it is absolute existence like Brahman. So Sat Asat Vyam Anirvachaniyam. Neither absolutely real nor completely non-existent. In between. Called Maya. The name given. Okay. The famous story about Maya. This rich man died. Rich man. He had 17 elephants, sorry. He had 17 elephants. If you have one elephant, you are considered a very rich man. Okay? To have one elephant is difficult to maintain. In Kerala, my family had an elephant, ancestor home. And to make it pay for itself, you have to make it go to the timber industry and work, carrying timber. Otherwise, you couldn't afford to have one elephant. This guy had 17 elephants. It's like having 17 Mercedes nowadays. You know, a fleet of cars, you have one Merc, one, what do you call it, Falcon, and this, whatever. So this guy had. And in his will, he left everything to his 3 sons. First one, he left half of all the elephants. Second, 1/3. Third, 1/9. Now, how are you going to do it? Property can be divided like that. How are you going to divide the elephants like that? Bhaiya, you are getting half. एक कम कर लो ना, 8 ले लो ना. No, 17, 8.5. No. It is inherited from dad. I am not going to give up 1 inch of things. So, big argument happened. Then the king's minister was passing by. You know, what is the problem? All characters are shouting at each other. I said, the problem is, old man created a problem in the forest when he was living. He has created a problem dead also. Acha, that is all. Here, take my tusker. Let it be the 18th elephant, the royal 18th elephant. What is your share? Half. 9. What is your share? 1/3. 6. No. What is your share? 1/9. 2. No. 17 distributed. So what about that? That is mine. You don't agree with that. Similarly, the story of the Maya is postulated like that. Maya is the 18th element. Okay. It is there and not there. It is there and not there. It is there for the division, but not there for holding up. The 18th element is there for the division, but it's not there to get it. Maya is there for making Brahman appear as a Jagat. Is it really there? No. Though we describe it, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, all that description, that how it affects your mind, because all this is product of Maya. All that is Mithya is Maya Karyam. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Body also, you can divide it as Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Attitude, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Knowledge, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Even though knowledge is supposed to be Sattvic, But knowledge also can be divided as far as tamas. We have seen that in the Gita. So Brahman is Satyam, Jagat is Mithya. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Jadmadhyastetaha. Brahman, definition. What definition are equally valid? Now don't come and tell me Ishvara is Mithya. Because this is another problem that people do. Ishvara is Brahman. Ishvara is not Mithya. Has he said anywhere there? He has not used the word Ishvara in that verse. Why? Brahman itself is Jagat Karanam. No, Brahman is Ishvara. Ishvara is Brahman. So scholars will talk about it. One is Saguna Brahman, one is Nirguna Brahman. Kya do Brahman hai kya? Is there two Brahmans? You say Saguna Brahman, Nirguna Brahman. Two words are used, two standpoints. Two words are used. Does not indicate two things, it only indicates a standpoint. One is the real, other is the standpoint. One is the point of view, the other is the view, the vision. So Brahman is called Ishvara. When you want to include the creation into it. When you want to account for the creation, you will call that same Brahman Ishvara. What is Ishvara? Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. Brahman is Ishvara, Ishvara is Brahman. He is not presented Ishvara as Mithya. He is presented Jagat as Mithya. Keep this in mind. Even very sincere students of Vedanta fall for this mistake. I had a batchmate and we were living in an ashram in Haridwar that time studying from Taranandagiri. This guy came to spend a few days with us. So in those ashrams in Haridwar and Rishikesh and all this, very little rules. Why? Because even meal time is not there. Meal time is for people who are staying inside the ashram, they are ashram members. People like us who are guests, etc., they are not fed in the ashram. You go for bhiksha. So we used to do bhiksha. This guy also need to go for bhiksha. That is the norm there. So that is the norm, you follow the norm. And only one rule. It's a good rule to have. Everyone has to be there. Anyone who is staying there, whether you are a member of the ashram or not, evening aarti you must be present there. So this guy said, used to say, I am a Nirguna Upasaka. I am not going to come for the aarti. Give one back. Sure? Nirguna is not Upasana. It is Jnayam. It is something to be known as yourself. It is not something you do Upasana. Upasana means become Saguna. Ishvara. Upasana is always of Ishvara, not Nirguna. Nirguna is Jnayam. As myself. To be known as myself. To be owned up as myself. Sure? He looked at me. Barabar hai. Vyaja arti ho. So be very careful at this point here. That what is Brahman, what is Ishvara? There is no Saguna Brahman, Nirguna Brahman. There is no Ishvara and Brahman. There is only one Brahman. Either you see it as it is, or you see it as the cause for the world, Jagat Karanam. From the standpoint of being a cause for the world, an apparent cause for the world, not a real cause. We will call it Ishvara. The same Brahman is given a name Ishvara. And this Ishvara is worshipped in various forms. That's fine. Once you present Ishvara as Nimitta Upadana Karanam, Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam, then you can invoke him in anything. That's what worship. That's what worship. Why worship? Because you have to understand I need His grace. Two things. One, to understand. Second, to live my life. What problem is that? My horoscope is horoscope, so I have to overcome all that. थोड़ा grace चाहिए. I need the Bhagavan's grace. So if you need Bhagavan's grace, grace has to be earned. Bhagavan is not sitting down somewhere. Acha, tu mera bhakt hai, ye le, grace. This character, idiot, he doesn't deserve any grace. Skip it. Go to that. Bhagavan is not like my uncle. Grace has to be earned. Earning is by worship. If it is only mental, upasana. If it is physical, etc., then yaga, puja, etc. comes into the picture. Therefore you invoke. How do you invoke? According to your need. Too many obstacles in my life. We are na. Vigna. Yeah. Ganesha is getting ready to say goodbye to his mom. For 10 days he has to be on earth. Meet his devotees, khao, piyo, maja karo. Ganesha's celebration. Before that, Krishna is coming now. Instead of told Lakshmi, okay, I'm going to go down. For a lifetime I'm going to be there. I'm going to follow you as two people, Radha also and Rukmini also. Invoke as you want. Yeah, invoke as you want. Yeah. That's invocation. That's worship. That's different. That's open to your choice. There is a certain choice in the world. In knowledge, there is no choice. You have to understand Brahman as it is. So it is with this respect. Sarvata pani padam jan. All hands and legs are mine. Apani padam, free from all hands and legs. Brahman free from everything, because all that is Mithya. At the same time, Mithya is dependent on me. Therefore, all of it is mine. I am not in them, they are in me. Correct? 9th chapter Gita. I am not in them. I am not one divine light, spark plug in everyone. No. They exist in me. Ishvara is everything. Brahman is everything. They exist in me. Hey, they are not in me either. Because they are all Mithya. I am the Satyam Brahman. All that is just a manifestation. Can you see the two standpoints? The shifting standpoints create the whole thing. Sarvata Padam, Sarvata, Shraman Loke, all that. Ishvara. Nothing is in me. I am one with everything. Asangoham. The snake is me already. Of course I am the snake. I am untouched with the snake as well. Rope talking. I am the snake. Snake is without me. Where is the snake? There is no snake without me. At the same time, the slimy snake does not make me slimy. Snakes are not slimy. Yeah? They become slimy only if it goes through some mud. Snake with very dry skin. So moisturizer laga sakta. It doesn't. It leaves the skin behind. It molds. That molding is necessary because of the dryness of the scales. You touch a snake and see shiny, dry, very dry. Cold creature. They used to come all over Rishikesh ashram once upon a time when I was there. And you would never kill it. Pick it up by the tail. Then the snake won't do anything because the striking power comes from the tail. You pick it up from the tail, you can go and leave it outside. Outside that. Because ashram, life is respected. All life is respected. Especially in an ashram setup. Therefore, the rope They are me. I am not there. Asangaha, asangoham. At the same time, everything is manifesting. Can you see that whole play that's going on? That's why those verses in the Gita are so beautiful. So beautiful. If you understand it, just to listen to them. Om Tat Sat.